welcome back to another Nightmare Creation video. Today we're going to be talking about how to turbo your car. Pretty much talking about all the essential parts and bits that you need to start off with your own build. Just take notice that there are many different builds and also many different ways of doing things. So just keep that in mind. There's always a different setup, a better setup, and I'm just gonna pretty much go ahead and run through what you will need to start with your own build. And at the end of the video, we will also put in the total cost that it took to actually make this possible. So with the first thing I want to start off with, we started with the AEM fuel pump. That cost me around like what is it, $93. It's always better to upgrade your fuel pump. Whenever you start trying to go more boost and trying to up the power on the cars, you can max out your OEM fuel pump, and then you won't be able to make any more power because if you don't have enough gas going through, your stuff is going to blow up. Secondly, I want to talk about the 3-row radiator that I have over here. It's a half-size radiator. This had the OEM one, which you already know. It's pretty much the whole entire thing over here. But since I tried to go with the turbo setup, I didn't have enough space for a whole size radiator. So what I ended up going is with a 3-row half-size radiator over here. And I also it also came with its own fan and shroud, which is like a very good thing for us. But then I just went ahead and I upgraded the fan, which was like about $50 just for the fan itself. It's a name brand fan itself, and then also the 3-row radiator is about $120 in itself. And then next I want to talk about the Schedule 40 turbo intake manifold. I'm sorry. Well, the manifold. There's actually a good strong material. It's a Schedule 40 metal. You can search it up. That's like it's a good material to use for boots that won't crack easy, like the eBay brands and stuff like that. And I really went with this because I really like the design that they had. It's a tubular design, and that cost me around $272. Going next, we're gonna do the turbo blanket. As you see right here, it's down here by the wastegate. That turbo blanket, it's good to use so that you can keep the heat down and it doesn't get as hot, because you know the turbo and everything heats everything up, and there's a lot of heat going through the headers, well not the headers but the turbo manifold, and so it's better to try to keep all that down. So we got that turbo blanket for like about $24. I did the oil cooler, which you can see down here. It's right in front of the radiator. That oil cooler is a 19-row oil cooler, and the reason why I added that to the car is, as it says in the name, it's an oil cooler. It keeps the oil cooler, and it pretty much, whenever you're running like in hot days and stuff like that, it's good to have that. And so pretty much that's a big plus. And also that went and cost me about $96. Next thing we're gonna talk about the catch can. The catch can over here, it's pretty much like a battery sized catch can. It pretty much has 4 ports on the side over here. I don't know if you can really see that, but as you see, there's 4 ports, 2 on the bottom and 2 on the top, and then it also has 2 breathers on the top also. And we have those running to the valve cover on the top over here, and then on the bottom of the block there's also 2 more lines. So it's pretty much just taking all that oil and pretty much all that, what is it called, I think it's like that flyby oil and all that dirty stuff. So it pretty much just catches it, and that cost me around $163 for that setup right there. The next thing I want to talk about is a traction control bar, tie bar. It's actually on the bottom, as you can see it right here a little bit. So this one right here with the rod, so that pretty much what it does, it helps a lot whenever you're trying to go with more horsepower. What these front wheel drive cars do whenever you're trying to up the boost or trying to go with more horsepower is that they start wheel hopping, and by doing that, that pretty much how you call it, like that can cost you a race. So you're trying to wheel hop and you gotta let off the gas and stuff like that, and you know, just by adding that traction bar, it eliminates most of it. It won't eliminate it 100%, but it will eliminate it most of it, and it will help you in the long run whenever you're trying to do road races or dig races and stuff like that. It's always good to have one of those, and that costs around $98, which is actually not a bad price for something like that. There's also more in the market that you can get, but for this build we went on a budget, and so that's what it costs. Now I want to talk about the battery relocation kit that I got. That's actually towards the back over here. The neighbors are beating somebody up in there, but that's fine. So we got the battery relocation kit over here, and we also have the battery box, which is the batteries inside. So I'll go ahead and I'll loosen it up for you so you can see what's pretty much going on in there. So there's a battery and everything, and that comes as a kit. It comes with all the wires that you need. All you have to do is just add your ground, and then also just run the power wires from the top and everything, and you'll be set. And also, this is a big plus because it eliminates where it's sitting at in the front of the car, and I can actually put the oil catch can in that area. So that way we can have this nice looking setup with not a big mess, so it looks cleaner. And the battery relocation kit was about $125. And also, you have to take into account that the battery box and the hardware itself did not come with the battery relocation kit, and that was about $15 in itself. Alright, next thing I want to talk about is also about the MLS. I'm sorry if I botched this name, but MLS Cometic, I believe that's how you say it. Head gasket. You won't be able to see that. It's pretty much sandwiched between the head and the block. I pretty much went with a bigger, thicker gasket. These are very well known for leaking oil, and so I pretty much wanted to eliminate that and go with a thicker gasket. And also it's way better for boost, and that cost me around $107. It's pretty expensive, but in the long run it helps you a lot. The next thing I want to talk about is about the Moroso oil pan. It's a 5.5 quart oil pan. It's on the very bottom. You can see right there. Pretty much I just got that because it's a baffled oil pan. That helps a lot, like if you're doing track or if you're doing like road races and stuff like that. It helps keep the motor with oil all the time, running oil all the time. That's the most important thing. You want to run oil through your engine all the time. You never want that pressure to go down or nothing like that. It will destroy your car. Well, not the car, but the engine itself. And that cost me around $301. It's pretty expensive, but it's well worth it. Next thing I want to talk about is the T4 73 trim stage 3 turbo kit. Well, not the kit, but the turbo itself. It's this one right here. That one is actually a good turbo. I've had a few buddies that I've seen that run that turbo and they actually make some decent power, and I think they're like, they have this thing where they do at the shop where you get this from. They do something that's like very important. I forgot what it is off the top of my head, but it's pretty much a good turbo that you can use and you can start off with, and that turbo itself was $152. The next thing we're going to do is talk about the silicone hoses, G Plus silicone hoses. I got the full entire kit, which is this one, the bottom radiator hose, and then we also have some back here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, it's with the clamps right there, and then we got a few more also running towards the back. Those are pretty much, they're better than the OEM. You can run pretty much, they can run hotter and everything, and it's better all around performance just for the car itself, and those were about $50. The next thing, also whenever we were trying to do this turbo kit for this car, I had a problem because we couldn't find like a downpipe that would fit the turbo that we had before, so that's why I had to go with this turbo, which is not a bad thing. And we couldn't find, you know, like just a flange for it. So pretty much the flange would be like this portion over here where the blanket is at. This one down here, this big pipe going down. And we had to get a gasket for that. And that gasket was about $12, which it wasn't too much. And then another important thing that you will need, like specifically, is the Innovate, well, not the Innovate itself, but you will need an AFR gauge, air fuel ratio gauge. That really helps you a lot with telling you what's going on with your car, if it's going too lean or too rich. So let me open the door over here. As you can see, it's going to be the bottom one. That is very important to get to know what's going on with your car. It also helps you whenever you're getting tuned or if you're racing. It shows you if you're going too lean or too rich, which you don't want to go too lean and blow up your motor setup. So that cost me about $200. I think I've seen them a little more for like a little less, but it's just depending where you get it from. Another thing that I want to talk about also is the Honda ECU. I believe there's like the 3 different generations of it, or 2. I really don't know. I'm not really sure. But I know that they have the S300 and then the Honda ECU, the OBD1, and that costs you around $500 to $600, give or take, depending where you get it from. Or if you can find it locally, they might even go lower. You just, you know, have to just test your luck with that, but that's how much that will cost the ECU. The ECU is just pretty much like a standalone ECU. You can tune it, you can do multiple things with it, like 2-step, what is it called, 2-step, oh my god, I totally forgot what it's called. I forgot. Well, pretty much that thing where you just try to take off. Launch control, pretty much, yeah. Pretty much the launch control, and then pretty much like a lot of things. You can mess with the gas, and you can mess with the a lot of stuff. You know, it's just a tunable ECU for you to do. It's a good thing for the Moto 2 if you can do that. I would stay away from the chipped ECU, the cheap, you know, alternatives, because it doesn't work. Like, I see many people going with all that stuff, and they either mess up their tune, like they mess up their tunes, they break their motors, because, you know, it's not a real life tune as you can see it with the Honda. And so I just recommend just going with that setup itself. Honda is the way to go. The next thing I want to talk about is you're gonna need good tires. I don't have a good tire setup yet, but a good tire setup is gonna run you around $200+ it's a good thing to have. Put good grip on the ground. You know, you won't have traction control issues or anything like that, and pretty much that will help a lot. Good tires is a good way to go. Also, I want to talk about the fabrication, like for the turbo piping and all that stuff. It costs about, I want to say, like around $130, like for the fabrication, which is like extra piping and stuff like that, give or take. It was miscellaneous pieces that he had to do to actually do this kit itself, and pretty much, yeah, like, to take into account that all of this was done by me, and then also my brother, and then also by my nephew, who helped me a lot too. And pretty much all of this is not an account with all that labor that we did. We upgraded bushings, we upgraded a lot of stuff around the car just for the car to be drivable, and that's not counting in our hours in trying to do all this to come to reality as you see today. And another thing, we're going to talk about, like, the labor wise. If you do have a question about, oh, how much would it cost me if I took it to a shop, alright, so the labor for the intercooler piping itself, which is all of this top piping, and it wraps around and goes all the way down to the front of the car, that's about $350 just to be done. This piping all around, intercooler piping, and then it goes to turbo. it costs $350. The downpipe and wastegate, it's over here. This is the wastegate. What is it called? The wastegate pipe, and then also the downpipe is over here, right next to it. That's gonna cost you around $300. And then the material, give or take, if you don't have it, if it has to be custom made, it's gonna be like probably like $100. So it's not that bad. And then the tune itself was $200. That's how much it's gonna be if you want to get it tuned. It varies with people. People can go more up, and pretty much. But for a baseline, I would say $200 is good. And then the catch can install, and for the valve cover and all of that all together would be like $150 installed and put everything done nicely. And then the oil cooler, which is down here, this oil cooler right here with the lines ran and everything put all together is gonna be around $150. Also, he had to do like a custom mount point for it, as you see right here, $150. And then the turbo intake, which is this one right here, goes for the turbo. And then we have a little filter right here that costs about $80, give or take. The filter itself was like around I want to say 12 or 13 bucks, so it wasn't that much expensive. And then the oil pan, which is on the bottom, the Moroso oil pan with the return feed for the turbo, that's gonna be around $200 just to do. And pretty much that's just the labor, and including all the parts that we just mentioned. In total, it's going to be $4,573. So it's kind of costly. There are more ways for you to go on a budget, but that's, you know, with labor and the parts all together. Next, I want to talk about, if you didn't, like, let's say if you do the stuff by yourself and you just need the parts, you know, pretty much for you to buy, and you install it by yourself, that would be $3,043, which is all this setup that I have cost me that much. So it's not a cheap thing to do, but if you want something right, something that's gonna last you, it's gonna be $3,043. And you know, pretty much this setup, I like it. I have a lot of fun with it. We haven't uploaded for about 2 weeks now, and we went to a meet and it just didn't pan out as we wanted to. There was a lot of car crashes. It was bad. I just didn't really get a lot of content, and you know, it wasn't really a good area for us to be in, and so we just got away from that. And yeah, pretty much the car is running strong. It's still doing good. We need to rebuild the transmission. We need to get some synchros for it. Third and fourth are grinding. Whenever I race the car, they grind. It's not because I'm not putting it in the clutch right or nothing. No, it's the synchros are going out already, and so the car's gonna be down for a while. Also, I want to upgrade the clutch, and then we're gonna rebuild the transmission with the synchros and everything. So that's gonna be that. And then pretty much everything else, as you see in the car, that's what you can get for $3,000. And honestly, I think it's worth it. I'm very happy with it, and I think if you can find ways that, you know, you can make it cheaper, that's cool. But just know that going cheap on some parts, it's not worth it. Go cheap on the parts that, you know, maybe you think you can get away with. But with the wastegate, with the blow off valve, and like the what is it called, the turbo manifold, go with name brand. If you could get a name brand turbo, even better. You don't really have to. I will link everything on the description down below, so you can have links to everything and everything like that. And I also want to say that, you know, just by you doing and taking your time, you can do this too, and it's just a fun thing to do. And so I want to say thank you to my tuner, Turk Tune. He was the one who did all the fabrication for my car, and all that stuff that you see on this car done right now, that was all done by him. If you want to go hit him up and everything, I'll put his information down in the description below also. Alright guys, so another thing that I actually forgot to put in the video was the injectors. The injectors is a very important part of the build itself. If you're trying to make more power, if you're trying to maximize the output of your injectors and you can't go more because your injectors are too small, I would highly recommend it to replace them and upgrade them. You can go with E85 compatible injectors and also higher CC injectors, which will help you flow more gas through them and you can maximize their output. That's a very big thing for the build if you're trying to go faster, which will help you a lot in the long run. You'll be able to reach, I don't know, maybe let's say 400 or 500 horsepower with maybe like some 1000cc injectors. You know, you could go bigger if you want to. You can use the OEM stock injectors that the car has, but you will only be able to maximize them to a certain point. You won't be able to make a lot of power with them, but you can tune them on 93. They're not E85 compatible, correct me if I'm wrong, but I highly doubt they are. So my injectors, I paid $360 for them, and I also replaced the top pads because the top pads it didn't come with the top pads itself, so I had to replace them myself. They were around $60, and I also replaced the connectors that go plug into the harness. You don't have to replace those already come. You can use the factory ones, so that all you have to do is just splice into the wires and then just connect everything and that'll be fine. So for the connectors I paid $40. For the top pads I paid $60 for a set of 4. Also for the connectors a set of 4, and then for the injectors a set of 4 was $360, which brings the total to $3,503. This is if you're doing it yourself, not having anybody else do it for you. Now if anybody else is doing it for you, labor wise and stuff like that, for the parts and everything with labor, came out to like $5,033. So it could come out to a little bit more if you're going to another shop, but overall I'd recommend to upgrade your injectors. Also you can upgrade, not upgrade but replace the injector seals that go towards the fuel rail. I would highly recommend that. They're a little bit on the expensive side, but it's always a better thing to do so they don't leak or nothing like that. But the total for labor, you know, $5,033. If you're doing it yourself, it's gonna be $3,503. This is an easy process. It's not hard. It's not, you know, something real hard to do. You can search it up online and see how they can do it. But except from that, that's another big thing I actually forgot to talk about. If you do need injectors, I will recommend going to my tuner, Turk Tuned. He does sell injectors, so if you need any pricing or anything like that, you can ask him. And also if you have a specific build where you're trying to make a specific number, you can talk to him and you can ask him, you know, all the questions that you have, and then try to see what's best for your build. And so like I said again, you can go cheap on some stuff, but don't cheap out on everything. A lot of motors break, you know, a lot of stuff can happen if you go cheap with important stuff. So that's why I always try to go with the best things that you can get, that's best to your commodity. Don't try to go all out, you know, if you don't have it, but always have that, you know, wish list. Like that's what I started off with, a wish list, and then, you know, slowly I just started buying it by myself, you know, just saving money. That's, and it took me a very long time. This build has taken me at least 3 years to finally get it running to where it is right now. And so, you know, I'm very happy with what I have. And so if this video was very helpful to you and you were able to learn from this, leave a like and subscribe, guys. Thank you very much, and see y'all next time. Thank you, guys.